The World Cup final had ended, but the most explosive battle of the night was about to begin inside the press room. Spain's manager walked in after surviving one of the most exhausting matches of his career. Reporters expected him to celebrate his own team, discuss tactics, and explain the final. Instead, he delivered a statement that stunned Argentina, enraged a Brazilian journalist, and triggered a confrontation nobody in the room was prepared for. He began by describing the final as a terrifying physical and tactical war. Spain had faced a team that refused to surrender. Argentina had pressed, attacked, defended, and fought for every ball as if the entire country's identity depended on it. The Spanish coach admitted that his players had suffered from the opening whistle until the final seconds. According to him, this was not simply another strong opponent. Argentina were a complete football system. They had tactical intelligence, physical aggression, technical quality, and an almost unbreakable mentality. He said the world had just witnessed one of the strongest Argentina teams ever assembled. That statement immediately changed the atmosphere. The room had expected polite praise. What it received sounded closer to a declaration. The coach insisted that Argentina's success was not an accident. Their midfield and attack combined power with intelligence. Their players could defend as one unit, then explode forward in seconds. Even when Spain attempted to control possession, Argentina closed spaces, disrupted passing lanes, and forced Spanish stars to chase the ball. Then he turned to Lionel Messi. The coach described him as a player who could destroy an organized defense in a fraction of a second. Messi did not need 10 chances. One movement, one pass, or one moment of imagination could change the entire match. Spain had prepared for him. They had studied him. They had built plans around him. But preparation could only reduce the danger. It could never remove it. The coach then praised Emiliano Martínez. He called Argentina's goalkeeper one of the best in the world and described his performance as almost impossible to break. Again and again, Spain had believed a goal was coming. Again and again, Martínez had appeared. His reflexes, positioning, and refusal to panic had transformed him into a wall. The Spanish manager said Argentina forced opponents to respect them before the match even began. They had world-class players, a champion's confidence, and a goalkeeper capable of terrifying strikers. A Spanish journalist then asked the question everyone wanted answered. How had Argentina managed to freeze Spain's most dangerous players, dominate so many areas of midfield? The coach did not hesitate. He said Argentina's greatest weapon was not one individual, it was their winning mentality. They had not entered the final afraid of Spain. They had attacked them. They had pressed high, defended aggressively, and moved together with extraordinary discipline. Whenever one Argentine player stepped forward, another closed the space behind him. Whenever possession was lost, several players reacted at once. The team behaved like a single organism. The coach said that was what made them so difficult to defeat. Superstars usually waited for the ball. Argentina's stars fought for it. They chased, tackled, blocked, and sacrificed themselves for the shirt. Their movement forced Spain into complicated tactical battles and prevented the match from becoming comfortable. Another question followed. Could this Argentine generation remain at the top for years? The answer was even more dramatic. The Spanish manager said they had everything required to dominate international football. Their starting lineup had experience. Their bench contained depth. Their younger players were developing at elite European clubs. Their key playmakers continued producing historic performances every week. To him, Argentina's trophies were not the result of luck. They were the visible result of a powerful football structure. He warned that any coach preparing to face Argentina would lose sleep. They could change systems. They could defend deep. They could press high. They could survive chaos. And when a match became emotional, they became even more dangerous. Then the mood changed. A Brazilian journalist raised his hand and challenged the entire argument. He accused the Spanish coach of exaggerating. He suggested that praising Argentina so heavily was little more than media sensationalism. According to the journalist, Argentina had benefited from fortunate moments in previous matches. He argued that countries such as Brazil and Paraguay possessed equally rich football histories and could have achieved far more if circumstances had favored them. The question implied that Argentina's rise had been inflated by publicity. The coach's expression hardened. He interrupted the journalist before the question could go any further. Then he told him not to interrupt again. The manager reminded the room that he had spent decades at the highest level of football. He did not need a reporter to teach him how to evaluate a team. His opinions were based on what happened on the pitch, not on politeness, emotion, or national loyalty. Then he turned the challenge back on Brazil. He asked whether the journalist had forgotten what Argentina had accomplished. They had defeated elite opponents. They had survived enormous pressure. They had earned the right to lift the World Cup. That kind of run could not be reduced to a lucky bounce. Then came the sentence that froze the room. The coach asked where Brazil had been during those historic moments. The journalist had praised Brazil's tradition, but tradition had not carried Brazil into the final. While Argentina were fighting for another world title, Brazil had already been eliminated and forced to watch from outside. The Spanish manager said it was almost absurd for someone representing an eliminated nation to enter the room and belittle the reigning champions. Argentina had reached the biggest matches. Brazil had not. That was the reality. The coach continued. Luck did not carry a team through an entire tournament. Luck did not defeat global powers repeatedly. Luck did not build a midfield capable of controlling elite opponents or a defense capable of surviving the highest pressure. Argentina's success had been created by the players' sacrifice, the coach's strategy, and the professionalism of the entire national system. He told the Brazilian journalist that refusing to recognize an obvious truth was not a football problem. It was a personal problem. Then he delivered his harshest verdict. Argentina were the most mature and complete national team in the world at that moment. The journalist should stop asking questions driven by envy and accept the bitter reality in front of him. The press room exploded into whispers. But the confrontation was not over. An American journalist stood up and introduced an even more dangerous accusation. He said many fans believed FIFA wanted Argentina to win. According to the theory, football's governing body was trying to create a perfect Hollywood ending for Lionel Messi's career. The reporter asked whether referees and officials had secretly favored Argentina at the expense of other nations. The Spanish coach stared at him in silence. His face changed completely. The admiration he had shown earlier disappeared behind anger. He called the accusation shameful. He said journalists from a major outlet should not repeat conspiracy theories without evidence. Then he attacked the idea with a series of questions. When Messi struck a free kick into the net, had FIFA controlled the ball remotely? When Emiliano Martínez flew across goal to stop a one-on-one chance, had FIFA extended his arm? When Argentina's players sprinted, tackled, and fought through exhaustion, had officials done the running for them? The answer was obvious. FIFA did not score Argentina's goals. Referees did not make the saves. Officials did not wear the shirt, bleed for the team, or carry the pressure of an entire nation. The coach said Argentina won because they had players willing to become gladiators for their country. They accepted pain. They accepted responsibility. They continued fighting when their bodies were exhausted. To dismiss those sacrifices as outside assistance was an insult to every player who had earned the result. He also rejected the claim that referees had handed Argentina victories over Spain, England, or any other opponent. Those teams had been given 90 minutes or more to stop them. If they failed, they had to confront their own mistakes instead of inventing a conspiracy. Messi's brilliance was real. Martinez's saves were real. Argentina's tactical discipline was real. The coach said the conspiracy theories existed because some people found it easier to accuse FIFA than to admit that Argentina had been better. By then, the room had become completely silent. The Brazilian journalist had been publicly dismantled. The American reporter had been accused of disrespecting the sport. And Argentina, the team Spain had just battled in the final, had received one of the strongest endorsements possible from an opposing manager. The press conference ended, but the message continued, spreading far beyond the room. The Spanish coach had not merely praised Argentina. He had defended them against accusations of luck, media manipulation, and institutional favoritism. He had placed their success on three foundations: talent, sacrifice, and a mentality that refused to break. His words also revealed something deeper about the final. Spain had not suffered because they played badly. They had suffered because Argentina forced them into a battle few. Teams could survive. Messi could still create danger in a end second. Martinez could still rescue a match from nowhere. The midfield could still suffocate opponents. And the entire squad could still transform pressure into energy. That was why the coach believed Argentina remained terrifying, not because of their reputation, not because of their history, because of what they had shown on the pitch. One journalist had called it luck. Another had called it a FIFA script. The Spanish manager called it the truth. Argentina had earned the world's respect, and after the final whistle, he was willing to fight an entire press room to make sure nobody forgot it.